Shackles today. We're gonna lengthen them a little bit. It's chilly out here, but I got a heater going. So let's get to it. Gonna jack up the front end, jack stands, all that stuff. It's a 3-ton jack, but I think if there's a slow leak, because I jack it up and I go to stick the jack stand into there and it doesn't fit anymore. And I jack it up till it's clear and I go to stick it in there and it doesn't fit. Great. This will work for getting the tires off. And then after I get them off, we'll think about actually putting the jacks under the frame. And you darn well know I would have kicked these all over the place, so let's get them out of the way and set them up there. And go get the other side up. Since I'm gonna have to be done doing the shackles, I'm gonna have to support the body or the frame. So I'm gonna go back to the frame here and see if I got enough lift. You know, when you're doing this stuff, you're always hoping that everything is gonna go easy. And I always try to take shortcuts, because for some reason I think that's better. So I'm leaving everything bolted up here, and I'm just gonna try to take off the rear shackle. But I don't know at what point this spring is relaxed. So I may have to up and down the front end here a bit to get this spring shackle so it's not under tension. I want it just fully relaxed in its normal arch, but not so much that it's pulling on this shackle. So wish me luck in getting it out without getting hurt and without having to undo the front one and taking the rear end off, or the front end axle off, the leaf springs and all of that. Hopefully just the shackle, and then we'll see how it sits once it's 1 inch longer. And of course, because I used FJ springs and FJ hangers, it's metric. 17 millimeters. I can get the bottom one with a wrench. I might be able to get the top one up there with a socket if we're lucky. And thankfully I didn't hammer them on too hard. Now, these, I'll show you these when they come out, but they're kind of a neat design, which is why I used them. They're greasable, and the pins that go this way are already in this front or outside shackle. They're mounted in it. So it makes it a fairly strong unit and easily greasable with the greaser sticking right out. But it's got to slide in from this side. The cool thing is, this plate here I'm going to cut, the outside one, and lengthen. The other one I'm just going to make a whole new shackle for. I won't have to cut it. Almost got the nut off there, the first one. Yay. Might need an extension, might not even fit. Maybe I just can't get it in there. I drilled a hole in the frame so that I could stick my socket through, but there's a header pipe right there that is kind of making it difficult. So let's just see if we can't get it off with the wrench. Well, it's too close to the frame for me to slip this piece in between the nut and the frame, so we're gonna have to go with this side. And I didn't put my block in a very good place either. Oh, but it's loose enough, so yay. Score one for me not hammering these down to an oh my god torque spec. Calibrated wrist for the win. I tried to place my block further up, but everywhere I went, it just was in the way of something else. And I wanted to move this block further in so it'd be out of the way of these, but my drive shaft's right there, so that doesn't work either. I'm gonna put a clamp on this to hold these two pieces together because I can see they're starting to spread. So it means that probably because I've left the tire on that side, the rear end is wanting to lean a little bit, or the front end, excuse me. And it's spreading my shackles apart as I'm unbolting it. So I'm gonna clamp it to keep it from having a surprise separation. Small clamp though, it's not gonna take a big one. Let's see if I can fit this in there. You know, one of the things that would have made this a lot easier, the four-wheel drive system in this probably, would have been to get a narrower transfer case than the stock Ford one. Borg-Warner case under here is fairly long. And it does get the driveline over so it's out of the way of the oil pan, transmission, and everything like that. But it could have been 4 inches shorter, and then it'd fit inside the frames. And so yeah, we're gonna look for an NP205 or something like that next time. That was nice. The clamp is keeping any tension that was in the shackle from having a catastrophic release. Because you don't want that when you're underneath something. One of my washers disappeared, and I wanted to make sure I kept an eye on it, or I'd probably never find it again. All right, let's see how much this wanted to move over. Oh, only about ½ an inch, so we're good there. That worried me at first, though. Trying to wiggle that shackle plate off of it. There it is. See that? We're just going to make that one longer. The other one is a little more complicated. This is also only 3/16, and I'm going to use 1/4 inch. I think that'd be stronger, and it's not quite 1.5 inches. It's 1 3/8 inches in width, and I'm using 1.5 inches. So we're going to make it a little stronger as well as a little longer. All right, now this one doesn't feel like it's under a whole lot of tension, so I'm going to get some pry bars in here and see if I can wiggle that out of the leaf spring and the rest of it. I might jack it up just a hair bit and see if that lessens the tension even. All right, here's what I was talking about. You see, these are pressed into this plate, and they actually have oiling holes. Don't know if you can see it right there, and one down here on this end. So when I pump grease into it, it's oiling the bushings there, which is a good thing. So now we've got to go to the desk and make it longer. Yes. All right, this is my plan right now. This is just about 4 inches. And this is a 1/4 inch piece of plate. So I'm simply going to cut a strap out of the plate with my plasma cutter. I'm going to make 2 of them, and we're just going to extend the hole 1 inch out of this. 5 inches versus 4 inches. 1/4 inch versus 3/16. And then for this side, I can try to press these out, and maybe I'll give that an attempt. But if not, I'm just going to zip it right in the middle, take a piece of this 1/4 inch plate, put it right in the middle of this, and then cut another piece of this. And once I weld that 1 inch piece in here, I'm going to overlay a 3 inch piece right between these, and that will strengthen this up tremendously when I weld that in there. Because I worry about, you know, my welds on each side when I cut this. That's not the best way to make a shackle. So first I'll try just to see if I can knock these suckers out, and if I can't, then I will split this right in the middle. I think I'll put a nut on this, put it on my vise, and hit it with a hammer and see if I can't push it through. I'm putting a nut on this so I don't, if I just hammered on that, it would mushroom out and I would never get a nut on it again. So if you put a nut on it and a hammer on the nut, it just pushes on the threads. And so long as we don't go gorilla on it, although I am using my not asking hammer, this is more of a telling hammer. We'll see how it works. It's going to drop right out of there. Sweet. Sweet. So, there we go. So now the plan is, I don't need to use this. Just this one. Now I could, thinking about this, okay, I could use this plate, split it right down the middle, and make the shackle adjustable. I can put another hole, 2 holes in it, so that it's adjustable for even longer if I think I need it longer. Now the question is, should I do that? I don't want something hanging down that could snag on a sagebrush or a rock or something. Not that I'm going to be climbing rocks, but you know what I mean. I mean, the leaf spring is going to be here in the shackle. Do I want it hanging down like that with an extra hole? Or do I just want it right up there where it's going to be level instead of this way? Well, I think I'm just going to add that extra hole. I'm going to split this piece, since I got it, right down the middle. Put a few holes in it. And that way, if 1 inch isn't enough, we can go 2. And that should be right. Should give me exactly what I need. All right, I'm gonna chop these up. I'll get set up. All right, I got it on my plasma table, a little portable one. I've clamped a piece of angle iron to it so I get a nice straight cut. And I'm just gonna run it right down that piece of angle iron. It should give me a very beautiful cut, straight anyway. If I hold this straight, if I start turning it, it'll wander back and forth, but hopefully we can get a nice straight cut out of it. It looks like it's just about the right width. Maybe a little more than necessary. I think that'll cut it pretty well. Want to make sure it's the same gap on both ends. And then we'll run it down. Now when you're working with this heat of the sun, like always, wear your gloves, wear your eye protection. Make sure your machine is set properly. For me, on 1/4 inch, that's all the way up. It's kind of a small machine, but it works good. It'll cut 3/8 if you take your time and maybe make a couple of passes. One more dry run. I want to make sure I got that an easy peasy pass. We won't be going that fast, but well, that was much better. I saw 2 spots that fought me a little bit, but much better otherwise. There we go. That's the way it's supposed to happen right there. Now I'll clean off the edges, get it ready, and drill some holes. Well, now let's see what we can do with the chop saw here. We've got the metal clamped together, so I'm going to be cutting through 2 pieces at once. Got 2 for one side, 2 for the other side. I think we're good. Well, I got you guys charged up a bit, so I wanted to show you what's going on. I drilled all the plates initially with 7/16" holes, which are these size. And you can see here's their top hole, and then the next 2 holes, so I can go 5 inches, or I can go 1 inch longer or 2 inch longer. And then I needed to drill a 9/16, or actually bigger, but I don't have a bigger bit until I get to 5/8, which is too big, but in order to fit these in here. So I drilled it with a 9/16, and then I used a sanding burr to waller them out a bit until this just fits in the hole without any slop. And then I had to press it down in. So I want to show you how I got it pressed in using a socket and my press. So come on over here. All right, can you see my press here? I'll tip you down just a little bit more. And I'll probably turn on the light for you because, sorry about putting my hand in your way, because it's kind of dark over here. There we go. Now I can't see a thing looking at you. All right, I've got my press set up here, and I need to press this pin down in, and I'm going to have to get this pin so it can be down there somewhere too. How about, no, I don't like that. I want this to be supported, and I'm just going to give it some room right there. There. I like that. I've moved it all the way into this piece, into the V, and I should be able to get high enough to fit this under it. Maybe let's start it in there. Oh yeah, there we go. It slid under there. It's good. I need to make sure it's centered or close to. Pulling these things over a little bit. There we go. Now if you get down here and look, maybe let's lower you down. Okay, can you see right there? All we're going to do is press until this meets that. Not very far. And it certainly doesn't take much force. But you're not going to be able to push it in by hand. And we're almost there. There it is. That's all the way down. Release the tension. Compress it all the way since I got 2 more to do. And there it is. Preset shackle. Except you know what I did, guys? Look what I did. I put it in the lowest hole. I wanted to put it in this hole. Sheesh. Now I'm going to go knock it out and then press it back in. Man. All right, in a minute. Okay, you saw me press it in the wrong hole the first time. Now let's press it in the right hole this time. You ever had one of those when you're getting ready to put it in the hole and there's wrong hole? Yeah. I wish I'd heard that, you know. One of you had told me. All right, now we have our shackle and our back shackle, and we'll be able to put those 2 together and on the truck. So let's get that done. I think we're ready to put these on. I threw a little paint on them so they wouldn't rust, and I'm gonna put a little grease on them. I'll also grease them once they're in there, but I want them to slide in there nice and easy. So a little bit of, boy, my grease is almost empty. A little bit of grease so they slide in there better. All right, got them pushed in there with the other plate, nuts, washers, all that sort of stuff. May have to ratchet strap this end over a little bit. For some reason it's all shifted, but that's all right. Where's my creeper? Get under here and see what needs to be done. All right, I'm gonna grab me a strap and pull this over a little bit. There's magnets on the back of the light, but I've got such a thick coating of liner under here, that light don't want to stay very well. All right, this side is together. Now I'm kind of excited to see how much lift it actually gave us. Might be, it'll be an inch, just because this shackle is almost straight up and down. It's tilted back just a little bit, not as far as I'd like. But by lengthening this, it gives the spring more leverage into swinging. So it should compress a little easier. And if it doesn't, I'm taking out one leaf. So if it's too high, that'll lower it too. And I just need to get the other side together before I can set it all down. So I'm gonna move all my tools around and give it a shot on the other side. I wanted to let you guys know here, before I set it on the ground, that you don't tighten up your suspension components, especially bushings that are gonna move when you set it down, until you've got the weight on it. You don't wanna tighten them up while you're drooping and then have that wheel come way up and the suspension move so much and it bind in all those rubber or nylon or whatever style of joints you have. So I've left these the leaf springs, they're drawn up, but they're not tight. So I'm gonna set this on the ground and then tighten them, and then we'll see what the height looks like. All right, the truck is on the ground. I've bounced it a couple of times to make sure those bushings aren't binding. Now I'm going to go under and tighten them, but this is the height. It gave me 1 inch more clearance here, and it changed the rake a little bit. I'm at 2 degrees down nose. I don't know if you can see it. It's very, very subtle. Subtle? I don't know. Anyway, it looks good. It's flat, almost. Just a little bit of that down. I think this is a win on this end. When I drive it, I'll see how the suspension cycles, see if it's any better or any worse. But until then, because I'm waiting for the ECU to come back from ACES, until then, you guys get out and work on your stuff and be good to each other and have a good night.